Money Arata. Gresham's law is a rule that says that bad money drives out good money. Although this sounds a bit confusing, the idea is simple and with practical implications on the amount of money that you can save. This means that if there are two types of money that are used in the same place, and the law of the market determines that both have the same nominal value, the money that has less intrinsic value will be used more. It's going to be circulated in transactions. And the money that has more intrinsic value will be used less. It will be kept for the long term. Nominal value and intrinsic value are important concepts here to understand. Let's say, for example, that you are a tour guide in Istanbul, and then you get paid both in American dollars and Turkish lira. And let's imagine that the exchange rate is $10 for 200 lira. It means that $10 and 200 lira have the same nominal value, but depending on the situation, they can have different intrinsic value. For example, if you want to buy a coffee that costs 10 lira, well, the lira will be more practical. It's going to be better for you just to open your wallet and give one of your 10 lira bills. But if you're saving up for the next month, the dollar might be better because it might be worth more lira in the future, probably. The intrinsic value of money depends on your plans and your preferences. People want to make sure that their money is worth as much as possible, so they will use the money that is worth less for the immediate transactions, and they will save the money that is probably going to be worth more. This is what we mean when we say that Gresham's law is about bad money driving out the good money, at least on the surface. Now, if we want to start to go deeper, you will learn more and more, and then there is a struggle, a constant struggle between the government and the people. The government is always trying to extract value from the people by means of taxation, inflation, debasement, seigniorage, and currency control. And the people are always trying to do the opposite, trying to accumulate wealth by finding ways to pay less tax, to get yield via investments. And today, you will learn how Gresham's law can be used to protect your wealth. This knowledge can help you to make more informed financial decisions and even safeguard your hard-earned money from the risk of devaluation. Additionally, you will learn more about specific strategies for distinguishing between good and bad money, as well as how to accumulate good money. You will gain a greater sense of control and confidence in your ability to protect your wealth. Now, please notice that this is not financial advice. Read the full disclaimer before proceeding. Gresham's law is not just a theory, it is part of your daily decisions. To understand Gresham's law, it is important to know the difference between good money and bad money. You can see episode number 2 of the Money Arata series in case you want to refresh these concepts. But basically, bad money is money with a central authority that can dilute your money by creating more of it. Good money is decentralized. It cannot be diluted. So when people have both good money and bad money, they will use the bad money for transactions and then they will save the good money, right? This is because they want to make sure that their money is worth as much as possible. And using the bad money for transactions and saving the good money is the best way to do that. Now, to help you better understand Gresham's law, we'll first use 3 different everyday examples before we actually start to discuss coins made with precious metals. This will help you to become more familiar with the concept and prepare you for the more classic way of teaching this. In our first example, you have 2 bills of $10 each. One is brand new, and the other one is dirty, a little bit torn. You will likely save the crisp bill, the brand new bill, and you will try to spend the dirty, the torn bill because, it looks worse. They both have the same nominal value, $10. But for you, that crisp bill has more intrinsic value. In this example, it shows how we have some preferences on how we spend. I know that the purists will complain, saying, well, that has nothing to do with Gresham's law. But this first example is just to help us to just warm up. Let's go to the second example now. You have both paper money and also digital money, like a credit card that is available for you to use. The purchasing power of these 2 types of money is the same. It doesn't matter if the money is physical or digital, but there is an intrinsic difference. Digital money is more convenient to use, while paper money gives you more privacy because the transactions are not so easily traceable. If people realize this and if they value their privacy, they might want to start to use digital money for everyday transactions, and they will save the paper money for a few special purchases where they want extra privacy. For example, someone may want to buy medicine without it appearing on their credit card history. So they will use cash to do that purchase. Or if you are a service provider, you don't want to pay taxes, you might say that you only accept payment in cash, which is more difficult to monitor. This is an example of Gresham's law in action, because paper money can have more intrinsic value as a tool for privacy, and it is saved, while the digital money is more used for everyday transactions. Okay, now that you saw these two very simple examples, let's finally go to the third example in which there is an actual difference to your wealth, depending on the choices that you make. In Argentina, there are two types of money at the moment commonly used: the Argentinian peso and the US dollar. Both can be used in most places to buy things. As the peso tends to depreciate compared to the dollar, it has lower intrinsic value. It is worse. So even if you look at the exchange rate and you say, I don't know, $10 has the same nominal value as 2,000 Argentinian pesos, you might still perceive that the dollar has more intrinsic value because it doesn't lose as much value on the everyday life as the peso. Argentinians will save the US dollar as a store of value for the long-term savings, and they will be using the peso for everyday transactions. This can help them to better avoid losing money through inflation or other means. In the end, the peso will be circulated more often and the US dollar will be used less. So here is an example of Gresham's law in action. As people are using the money that has less intrinsic value, the peso, for the everyday transactions, and they're saving the money that has more intrinsic value, the US dollar, for future use. If they don't do this, they might be losing money in a terrible way. So to really understand Gresham's law, now you need to go and understand history, face value, and senior rush. Now that you saw how Gresham's law is something that you already use, you already practice without even knowing about it, let's go back in history so you can have a better understanding to be better able to make financial decisions. Sir Thomas Gresham was a financial aide, a consultant to the English crown during the time of Queen Elizabeth I. He was an expert on money and economics. The previous king, Henry VIII, had made the money worth less by replacing a lot of silver in the shilling coins with cheaper metals. This created a crisis for the government because people were using the bad money and they were saving the good money. Sir Thomas Gresham explained all of that to Queen Elizabeth I, and then his ideas became known as Gresham's law. Throughout history, coins have been made from precious metals, like gold. But over time, some governments and coin issuers started using less and less of these precious metals in their coins, and this means that the new coins had less intrinsic value compared to the old coins, because the new coins didn't have as much gold in them. So because of this, people started to save the old coins that had more gold in them, and they were using the new coins for transactions. But even though the new coins were definitely worth less, governments and coin issuers told, using decrees, that they had the same nominal value as the old coins. This is what we call the face value of the coin. And it means that the government says that these new coins, they are worth the same amount as the old coins, even though they're actually worth less. Now this means that the new coins are now overvalued and the old coins are undervalued. Any child can understand that these new coins, come on, they're worth less than what the government says. There is less gold in there. And the old coins now are worth more than what the government is telling everybody that they are worth. The governments and coin issuers did this because why? Because they wanted to make more money, of course. They could make the new coins using less resources, less money than the old coins, and they could sell them for the same amount as the old coins. This is called senior rush. And it means that the government makes money by selling the new coins for more than it costs to make them. You can go back to episode number 37 of the Money Arata series for a detailed explanation of seigniorage. In this situation here, people will save the old coins and they'll be using the new coins for transactions. This is because the old coins are worth more. People want to protect their wealth. Governments and coin issuers profit by selling these new coins for much more than their production cost. To understand that you're struggling to save your wealth from the government, you really need to understand debasing and confiscation. Now, the whole reason why people prefer to hold good money and spend the bad money is because people want to make sure that they have money that is worth as much as possible. It is not an easy task because of currency debasing and confiscation. Currency debasing is the process of reducing the value of a currency through the use of cheaper materials in its production or by increasing its circulation. This is typically done by a central bank or a government to increase the money supply or fund government spending. In addition to the increasing money supply, another way of doing some currency debasing is by decreasing the value of a country's money by using cheaper metals to make these coins in case it is under a gold standard. In the past, coins were made from precious metals like gold or silver. But over time, governments started and the coin issuers started to use less and less of these materials in their coins, reducing their intrinsic value. Now, one interesting and outrageous aspect of all of this is that if normal common people scraped away, that's debase, removing a little bit of the metal from the coins to keep that as scrape for themselves, they would be punished for this crime. However, the governments and coin issuers who are debasing the currency were not being punished, even though they were profiting from that act. Now, this really demonstrates the opposing interests of governments and the people. The government wants to suck value, extract value from people using taxation, inflation, debasement, seigniorage, and currency control. So basically, the process of currency debasing here means that the value of your money goes down and therefore there is more inflation. That's the process in which prices of things go up, reducing the purchasing power of your money, of your savings. So this means your money is being diluted. To stop this from happening, the governments and coin issuers might use currency control and confiscations. Currency control means that they might make some rules about what people are allowed to do with their money. And confiscations mean that they might also take away or freeze your money. In all these situations, it's pretty clear that when you use traditional currency that is issued by the state, your money is not really yours. There is somebody else over there has more control over your money than you. Did you know, for example, that in the past, some governments have confiscated people's gold? Exactly. In 1933, the US government made everyone turn their gold during the Great Depression. In 1942, the Canadian government did the same thing to help finance the war. 1971, the Indian government did the same to help their economy. In 1990, the Brazilian government confiscated the saving accounts of the entire country. So once again, all of this should make it very clear that the government has opposing interests to you. Now you might think that the value of money today no longer depends on precious metals since we're now under a fiat standard. But even now, in our modern economy, debasement can still happen. That's when the central bank prints more money, lowering its value. This is relevant to everybody, even if we no longer use coins made of precious metals. Gresham's law predicts that people will use bad money and they will save the good money. So all that we have seen here should make one thing really, really clear to you. Gresham's law has a huge impact on your future. Because you should be constantly thinking, evaluating different options that you have, different types of money, and then spend the bad money while you save the good money. Good money is money that cannot be easily devalued. This means that it will keep its value over time and people will be willing to use it and save it. Now, this all brings us to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a digital currency that is different from traditional currencies. Unlike traditional currencies, which can be printed by the central banks, there is a fixed, limited supply of Bitcoin. This means that the amount of Bitcoin available will never increase beyond a certain point. This is how it has been designed, and there is no central authority, no figure of power that can change this rule. This is why some people see Bitcoin as good money. Of course, in the short term, because of speculation, the traded price of Bitcoin can fall, and it can fall significantly. However, in the long term, the fundamentals remain unchanged because of the decentralization. So under this perspective, Bitcoin is seen as good money because it is immune to debasement. Debasement is when a currency's supply is increased, leading to inflation and loss of value. And since the supply of Bitcoin is fixed, it cannot be debased. Gresham's law can also impact the value of Bitcoin because people who understand this will tend to spend their traditional currency and save their Bitcoin. This can impact its circulation and value and also contributes to the reputation of Bitcoin as good money. Now, this is why if you understand the advantages of Bitcoin, you will prefer to spend your government-issued money first, since it is bad money, and then you save your good money for the long term holding Bitcoin. Gresham's law is deep down about people trying to protect their wealth from the government. As the government tries to take value, extract value from people through inflation, taxes, debasement, people search for ways to hold on to their wealth. One way is to use good money instead of bad money. Bad money loses value because of debasement or inflation. The more people understand this struggle and they learn to tell good money from bad money, the better they can protect their wealth from the government. Bitcoin is money that cannot be debased because of its fixed supply, so you should consider it as good money when you're planning your finances. And that's why now I want to invite you to watch a masterclass on Bitcoin by visiting arata.se/diamondhands.